take a look at the latest with EXA. In this latest build, version 1.0.2, we've got two new features to check out. The first is layouts. So everybody wanted to be able to save and load their scene with their recordings and their instruments, everything set up just the way they like it. This build is a halfway step towards that. We can save our work and go back to the original arrangement. Piano over here, guitar over there. Now, we can save as many times as we want. Every time we make a change to the scene, a save button becomes available. I'm not going to save right now though, because I want to keep that arrangement I just had with all of those loops as my latest saved file. Behind the scenes, it's going to save multiple files. You can actually go in and manage those files if you want to right now. And you might want to do that until this menu gets more complete. But for now, what EXA can do is load up the latest thing that you had saved. So I'm going to do that right now. Let's have a long hover so that you don't accidentally switch your scene and maybe lose something that you had hoped to save. So now you can see I've got all of my loops and instruments back. That's got a different sound to it. The drums are still the same. That song that I recorded before happened to be in 3/4 time with a 90 tempo. So that stuff got saved. We've got some loops over here. It's still the same sound there, but we've got some new drawings that I put around this flower shape. So all of that is still there, and we can fire things up and let them play. So all of that loop data is still there. And well, while we're in here, why don't we make a couple more changes just so you can see what happens. So I can move these guys out of the way. Say I really want my space in the center to be open and available. I can put this wherever I want. Say I'll get it over here. Kind of making more of a wall room layout here. So something like this. And well, while we're in here, I'll change this sound to something else also. Let's see. How about some brass? Alright, so I like this arrangement, so I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And if I load it again, I'll drag this over here so you can see what happens. Everything goes back to where it was when I saved it. The loops stop playing and they're ready to go whenever you want to play them. And I can also go right back to the default. I'd like to show real quickly something that's been confusing people. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to fix it, but these blocks next to loop recorder and to the metronome menu, they're not touching or hovering. They're just for hitting right through, just like you would for a drum. If you try to push it slowly, you're going to end up hitting it twice. Let's also check out the settings in the new application menu. First one is called VR pixels. That's the resolution inside your VR display. Here we have very low resolution. Very hard to read text. So I'd recommend not going below 100% unless you absolutely have to. We can also take this all the way up to 200%, and here we see a very sharp text and crisp graphics, but again, it makes your computer work harder. I found that this setting can actually affect the audio latency as well. So maybe start it at 100%, get the latency to a point that works well for you, and then try to bring your graphics up as far as you can. This hit to audio latency, that's the time that we add a little buffer between the strike time and the time the audio plays. Might be able to see a slight lag there between the hit and the audio. Hopefully you can see it on the video. And here's much more instantaneous. So the reason why we wouldn't always immediately go to 0 milliseconds here is that on certain computers, this will cause the front of the notes to get cut off. So you might only hear the tail end of your snare hit. This last one is called the audio buffer. This one you probably only want to use if you start hearing little clicks and pops in the middle of the audio as you're playing things. If your computer can't keep up with the smaller audio buffer, it'll start to cause those pops to occur. So I'll just bring this all the way up to show how this affects. So this is a much more pronounced, and you're actually hearing now. You're hearing what it sounds like when the front of that note gets clipped off. I would recommend not going to 1024. Try to stay down here if you can. That's going to give you your fastest latency, and then bring this as low as you can.